I quit social media for 3 years and it was the best decision I ever made. Hey guys, welcome to the Digital Exodus, the podcast where we talk about mental health, social media, and everything in between. My name is Maddie and I'm the author of The Social Media Mess. I spent 7 years writing a book about how social media is affecting my generation, Gen Z, and how our culture is suffering from the overuse of social media. This faith based book also includes a free 30-day devotional and challenge to log off social media. If you're interested, go to thesocialmediamess.com to read a free chapter today. So, without further ado, let's jump in. So, the big question, why did I quit social media? I want to give you guys a little bit of a background story because mine is a little more unique than maybe other individuals. So, I was raised in a Christian home. And I was, as a kid, I always knew I was loved. I always knew I had a great family, great environment. But I didn't have a personal relationship with God until I was about 13 years old. And so when I was 13, I started reading the Bible for the first time. No one had ever forced me to read it. No one had ever, kind of put it in my face or shoved it down my throat. It was always an option for me, which I'm so blessed to have grown up in an environment and in a home that was like that. And so I went to this Bible camp when I was 13, and it truly changed the course of my life. I know a lot of times Christian Bible camps get a bad rap for being kind of weird or crazy, and there are definitely those in the world. But this Bible camp was filled with such joy and life and friendship, and just like it was truly like heaven on earth. It was like living 5 solid days of spending time with friends, spending time listening to everything in the Bible about who God says I am and how I'm loved and how I'm his child. And so that is my experience growing up. Full disclosure, I am a Christian, and that is something I will speak out about and will share about, but it is not something that I want to force on anybody else or change, try and change anybody else. Every single person has their own decision. And so I just want to make that fully clear when I talk about my faith. So I didn't have my phone this entire week at Bible camp. And I just realized when I got home, I was like, gosh, I was a baby. I was like 13 years old. For reference, I'm 23 now. But I was a baby, and I got home and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so addicted to social media. And this was in 2015. I mean, this was the age before TikTok. This was the age before Reels, before social media became kind of like I think at this point, I don't even know if Instagram had videos. They might have. It was very new. But I just realized how addicted I was to social media. And it didn't matter, if it was 10 years ago or now. I think social media, which is something we'll talk about in future episodes, social media is a dopaminergic addiction, which means it creates a chemical called dopamine in your brain. And this chemical is highly, highly addictive. I mean, it's the same chemical that gets released when people do drugs, when people gamble. And yet there's no age limit on social media. So I got home from camp and I was just praying about it. I was reading the Bible, and I just felt this tug on my heart. I was like, I just need to quit social media for a month. Just a month. Let's just see how it goes. And the minute that I quit social media, I realized how addicted I truly was to it. And when I realized I was addicted, I was taking my phone out of my pocket. I was looking at my phone, and I was like, there's literally nothing to look at on my phone. All the apps are gone. Like, what am I doing? And so that was actually when I started writing The Social Media Mess, out of my own personal experience of struggling with this overuse and borderline phone addiction. And so after that, I quit social media for 3 years. Guys, like, I went cold turkey. I think I might have downloaded TikTok or something a couple times to make like a funny video with a friend, but I would delete it right after and just screen record the video so I could have it, which is a hack for anybody who's like, they still want to make TikToks, they still want to make YouTube shorts. Just screen record it, put it in your phone album, and then just delete the app. So the question is, what happened when I quit social media? What did those 3 years look like? So, high school was such a wonderful time of life for me. I know for a lot of people that's not the case. I'm very sorry if you had a horrible high school experience. I think I had a very unique experience because of the schools that I went to. I went to very, very small schools. And so high school was really marked by stable and good mental health for me, which in college, my mental health was not good. And I think part of that was being on my phone. But going back to high school, my mental health, guys, I don't remember ever feeling anxious or depressed and obviously I was like 13. There's nothing to be there's nothing to be anxious about when you're 13. Like, you don't have to pay bills, you're not worrying about college, you're not worrying about, paying your credit card down. So I really didn't, genuinely have anything to be anxious about, but I remember like I never struggled with social anxiety. I never struggled with feeling sad. It was a very odd concept to me. Like people who were struggling with depression and anxiety, I didn't understand it, which later I went through depression and anxiety myself. So I grew to understand what it was like. But my mental health was so stable. You guys, like I slept so well. It was kind of that whole like work hard, play hard. I lived that. My whole high school was, doing creative outlets and painting and drawing and hanging out with my friends. And like, I'm somebody who doesn't come from like a ton of, I know my family wasn't rich. I didn't come from a ton of money. And so this is just something I encourage other people that you don't need money to do the things that you love. You can find ways to do them cheaper. I actually got a horse in high school, which sounds like an expensive thing, but it really wasn't because she was just kind of this ragamuffin horse. Love her to death. But big picture is I got so comfortable in my own skin because I wasn't relying on social media. I wasn't relying on mirroring my life with anyone else's life. I wasn't relying on who said what or who did what. I actually mentioned this in my book, but our entire school, this is so dumb. This is the dumbest story. So our entire school, I was part of a really small school. It was a very small, it was homeschool, but it was technically like a private school. There was like 50 of us. And there was there's 2 Instagram accounts that, it was so funny. It was like Romeo and Juliet and, just any story you think of where there's like 2 opposing sides where people would make memes of each other, which is so mean, like thinking back to that. But they had these Instagram accounts where they would make memes and they like started like having this Instagram battle. And the funniest thing was this was when I wasn't on social media. I would have been 14 or 15. I missed out on an entire school fight. I showed up to school on Monday and people wouldn't talk to each other. Like they wouldn't look at each other. And I was like, what is going on? I was so just like dumbfounded. And then I was so out of the loop. Like I was thriving. I was just like on my own, doing my own thing. And I really grew huge leaps and bounds in self-confidence. I mean, I think I was more self-confident at 16, 17 years old than I am today, genuinely. Another thing that happened when I quit social media was I actually met all of my high school best friends, which we've all since kind of scattered and moved away to our little corners of the world, but they truly were my high school best friends and will always be. They were so loving and supportive, and pretty much all of us didn't really have social media or we wouldn't use it when we were together. And so when we were together, we were together. I mean, we would, just to give you a frame of reference of what this looked like we would go to a park on a Saturday and we'd be there all day and we'd be talking and laughing and playing games and throwing a frisbee around and just goofing off with each other and poking fun at each other in really, funny and kind ways. And oh gosh, we just had so much fun. I wish I could relive that time of my life. Like I distinctly remember getting in the back of somebody's truck and there was like 10 of us in the truck bed and he was driving around on these huge open kind of residential streets. It was a huge cul-de-sac neighborhood in if you know Minnesota, it was out in Farmington. And we would just drive. I remember that night so vividly because it was just like I talked about earlier. It was like this heaven on earth where we were at peace with each other and there wasn't fighting and there wasn't dissension and disagreement and jealousy. I'm sure there was, but like each of us were working on ourselves. We were working to be the best version of ourselves we could possibly be because of the Lord. Honestly, I don't think it was anything other than God that was changing our lives because there's just no way to explain. How do you explain a group of 10, 16-year-olds that all show up and love each other and pray for each other and aren't jealous or fighting over boys in the group or, it was just like there was so much harmony in our friendships. And that was huge when I logged off social media. I was so afraid of losing community, you guys. I was so afraid of losing friends, of losing people. And in logging off of social media, I actually found out who my true friends were. I found out who I just loved to be around, who loved to be around me. And yeah, so, and then the last thing that I want to wrap up with, when I logged off social media for 3 years, I had so much time. You guys, I never realized how much time I spent on my phone until I didn't have access to those apps anymore. I had so much time. Like I'd get off school or get off work and I would just sit. And I just remember I would read or I would write. I would go outside. I'd ride horses. I mean, it was just this like utopian kind of life of I wasn't sucked into a screen. I was actually going out and living my life. And that's something that I still like today. Today, Maddie is a very different Maddie because I have to have social media for work and staying connected with friends that have moved away. But I genuinely, like, in the best possible way, mean this. Like, those were my golden years. Like, I envy the time I spent without social media because I was so at peace. I was so at rest. And yeah, it was the best decision I ever made as a teenager, other than committing my life to God. So I would highly recommend this. If you are thinking about quitting social media, I would tell you go for it. Like there's literally nothing you're going to lose out of quitting social media. Your mental health is going to get better. Your sleep is going to get better. Seeing less blue light at night, like that is your mental health will go through the roof in a good way. Like you're going to discover who your friends are. You're going to discover more about yourself. And so I would just highly recommend if that's something you're thinking about, do it. Go for it. So I'm so glad that you tuned in to the Digital Exodus podcast today. Feel free to subscribe for more, or you can visit thedigitalexodus.com to learn more about how you can take care of your mental health. And in the upcoming months, I'm working on more resources, more activities, more free downloadable PDF guides on just how you can take care of your mental health. So be on the watch for that. I do work a full-time job. This is not what I do. So those may trickle in over the next couple months, but they will definitely show up on that website. So, all right, bye guys.